That's the thing. You've got the back strap. Like you're not hanging on. Now, granted, like the extent to which you're that's crazy fast. The extent to which you're converting that into forward power, that's legs, right? Anyway, I've got we're live right now.
Yeah.
There you go. That's fun.
My turn.
That's totally fair. So Baz and I have been trying to figure out how to get like our health shit in order for, I don't know, like fucking 4 months. Right. We keep falling back, and obviously the COVID thing made us fall back, and you know, she's gaining more weight than she wants to carry, and I'm in the same boat. And so we sold our kayaks, which is really sad, but then we were trying to figure out like, okay, well, what are we going to do with that? You know, because we got some money back from that. And every morning doing the sunrise thing, we kept seeing these kite surfers.
Yeah.
Like, so like, I mean, I wouldn't even want to try and buy a wetsuit till I was 200 pounds, which is about where I want to be anyway. So like, why don't we gauge halfway and go do a lesson when I'm 220 and you're halfway to wherever you want to go, and start saving up money so we can buy a couple of kite surfing rigs. And she thought that was great. So now permanently on that TV over there, I just have kite surfing videos.
A loop of kite surfing videos. Nice.
They're awesome.
Yeah, they are. That's pretty cool.
I had my fucking shake and I'm drinking black coffee. So what? Anyway.
Yep. Good morning, Ginny. Ginny says, hello, my marvelous friends. Your mom, Deb, is here. Boxer Cat. Word up, nerds. Yes. Doreen, morning. Missed first coffee, but sure, I'm grateful for that nap I just woke up from. I slept until like 10 after 9 this morning. I can't remember the last time I slept like a full 8 hours. It's pretty crazy. And Dave Meyer says, hey, y'all, it's Wednesdat.
It's what?
Wednesdat. I think he just spelled Wednesday wrong, but I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe he's just too cool for us. It's entirely possible. Many people are too cool for us.
I mean, most.
So I don't know why. I clearly out of touch with reality, but I woke up in a good mood this morning. I'm feeling funny and feisty, and you know, yeah,
that's good. I don't think you need an excuse for that. Just freaking take it.
I'm just gonna ride it like a 20-foot wave.
That's what take the win.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, your title is spelled wrong. I'm mocking you openly. Yes. Coffee for Wednesdat, April 15th, 2020 is.
We're keeping it now. Thing. That's like the whole. Yeah. That's like the whole joke now.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's a thing that's happening. Okay, so Dune is coming out pretty soon.
I swear, I have a tab open with the Vanity Fair article.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post it in the.
Jason Momoa as Duncan Idaho is perfect.
Yeah, that's that. I like that.
It's really good.
I'm good with that.
I think the dude that they have for Paul Atreides is
it's Oscar Isaac, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he did like a Netflix King movie recently, I think. And it's pretty good. And he was kind of like brooding and serious or whatever. And all I kept thinking was like, man, that kid should have been Anakin Skywalker, but it's like 20 years too late because like you're forgetting I'm old now.
Oh, he's been in a lot of great stuff, you know. He's like in the Star Wars movies. Are we talking? I don't know who's playing who in the Dune remake, so I may have messed that up.
Let's find out.
Oh no, yeah, it's Timothy Chalamet is the kid you're talking about.
Yeah,
Oscar Isaac from the Star Wars movies from Inside Llewyn Davis from Ex Machina is also
Who's he gonna be?
Leto Atreides.
Oh, that checks out.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh wow, they have a trailer and everything. Okay.
All right. Boxer Cat says, if anyone feels really good, I think I absorbed everyone's body aches. Thank you, Boxer. We appreciate it. But she intends to get up and rule the world, though.
Well, that's
what
cool.
You got to do.
Much appreciation.
Yeah. I love that there's this total love hate for the David Lynch Dune movie.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was a good attempt. All things considered.
I always thought Dune needed to be like the same way I feel about The Stand. It should have been an HBO limited series, not an ABC TV
10-episode arc. I agree. And now, granted, they said they're going to make 2 movies.
In the horror and
right. Yeah, they're gonna make 2 movies out of Dune, which is like I think the bare minimum. And they could easily turn it into 3. But that'll be good. Yep. And there's so, like, if they get it right, I feel like there's so much source material in that universe,
right,
that they could do all sorts of stuff.
Could end up seeing a whole series of movies. That would be good.
Yep.
Nice. Laugh track is home.
Yep. Yeah,
so
the
what
King
else is going on in the world?
The King on Netflix is what this kid was in.
Oh, okay.
And it was all right.
I saw that.
I mean, you know.
Yeah, Stellan Skarsgård as Baron Harkonnen. That's genius casting right there. That's good stuff. And
one of the things, Leah Kynes is going to be a black lady.
Nice.
Yeah, that was super smart.
Nice. So it looks like Comet Atlas is breaking up with itself. The brightness is diminishing. The signature on optical scans is elongating, which is usually a sign that the comet is breaking itself into pieces.
Okay.
So we may not get the bright comet we were hoping for mid-April. For now. Yeah, disappointing. Although it's been so cloudy here that I'm not sure we'd see it anyway over the next couple of days. So there's that. Here's the thing. Apollo 13 in real time. NASA is doing the thing they did again with Apollo 11, where they cast the entire mission on the internet. You can watch and listen in real time. And I missed the Houston We Have a Problem segment. I'm going to go back and watch it, because you can go forward or back in time to any moment in the mission. And I kind of want to hear that unfold in real time. Yeah,
that's really cool.
If you haven't seen one of those, it's breathtaking. It's an amazing project to put together all of the audio, video, film, and narration of a complete Apollo mission. You forget sometimes how incredibly smart astronauts are. Like, you forget that they are, deeply ingrained training engineers. They knew those systems, to the extent where Ken Mattingly went to the simulator and basically, saved their lives by understanding the system so well that he was able to suss out what they needed to do to turn things off and turn them back on again, and not die from losing voltage and power and battery power. So and he did that from tens of thousands of miles away from them in a simulator at Houston. Pretty cool story. So yeah, definitely good.
Sorry, I'm just posting this up to places because I realized that I had not done that. Doopy.
Yeah, I wish I knew more about the story behind how this Dune movie comes to be, because there is some genius casting going on here.
Right.
And it's the kind of story I can't imagine any actor not wanting to be a part of it. So I'm sure whoever they went, fuck yes, right. I'm in for that. Yeah.
Assuming that you're gonna get it right, because like if you did a Dune movie and just like shit the bed on it, like every sci-fi nerd in the world would hate you forever.
People argue that was the mistake with David Lynch, was he wasn't the right kind of director for that film.
Maybe.
So I remember enjoying it. I haven't watched it in years. It's not like I've watched it 8 times to be critical of it. I remember enjoying it in the moment, but I did feel like it was scattered. Like it didn't give you enough of the underlayment you needed to understand why the things that were happening were important.
Right.
So, but I'm also not sure how you do that again in a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
Because them books
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave Myers. Comet fragment breaks off, slams into Arctic ice, melting a glacier, and spreading a new genetically mutated virus into the air. The next pandemic will be lit, y'all. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the Russians are saying that the wildfires at Chernobyl are under control.
Are you filled with confidence? Because I'm filled with confidence.
I mean, they weren't wrong the last time they said that the big raging fire in Chernobyl was under control. I have complete confidence that the Russians would never lie to us about a thing like nuclear radiation at Chernobyl.
Oh yeah, Josh Brolin is Gurney.
Gurney, nice.
Yeah, that's. I mean, we're in ensemble cast territory, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, seems like. Hey,
Yeah,
how about? Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you first.
I was just gonna say, there's no reason they couldn't make almost as much money as the Marvel series if they do it right.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah, Putin loves 45 and wouldn't lie. Yeah, I mean, why would anybody think Putin would lie about what's happening there? But the good news is now our radiation scanning is so good that we're going to know if they're lying immediately. If we, if we change our ways entirely and begin to trust scientists and researchers.
I would be willing to bet that there are private scientific organizations that have satellites in orbit that can track and post publicly without requiring the U.S. government at a fairly fine degree, like watchdog organizations, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we can certainly trust Germany and in England to tell us what's up, since we can't be trusted. What's happening with Boris Johnson? Is he still in the hospital? I mean, I'm assuming he hasn't died.
I don't know.
So, yeah. Oof. Crazy times. Yep, the Polish peasantry knew about Chernobyl before the Russians admitted it. Good news. Bad news, they decided to treat themselves against radiation with vodka, which wasn't specifically effective. So, have you seen the Chernobyl miniseries that was on HBO?
Yes.
Oh, so good. There were some of the images that made my stomach swoop when the guy is walking around on the roof and are walking around in the courtyard, and there's big chunks of, he can't figure out what it is. It's big chunks of graphite laying around it was like, dude, that's not good. Go get far away from.
Yeah, run away.
Firemen picking them up.
This is fine, right?
Oh God. Yeah. Boris recovered, says Deborah. Right. Okay.
There you
go. I have conflicted emotions about that, but I don't want anybody to die. I want them to be filled with Schadenfreude sometimes, but I don't necessarily want them to die.
Yeah, I think the worst that I would want for Trump is a moment of perfect emotional, empathetic realization, and then for him to go to jail for financial crimes for the rest of his life. And get herpes.
I'm looking for
I feel like you were too distracted for that. Fantastic little micro.
Sorry.
No, that's part of the gig.
It happens to me.
I'm just going to call it out when I feel like I'm not getting the validation that
I do that to you all the time. So, okay. I got a couple of quotes I want to read for you.
Okay.
Do we be as active as we can in electing Joe Biden and doing everything we can to move Joe and his campaign in a more progressive direction? Or do we choose to sit it out and allow the most dangerous president in modern American history to get reelected? Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, watching Twitter, watching Crystal Ball, Greg, this morning, talk about getting all angry about Bernie Sanders. The first thought that I had, so I've had so many people sort of in the different wings of the Democratic Party saying yelling at the media for sucking, and yelling at the DNC for sucking, and yelling at the Democratic Party for sucking, to the extent that Bernie Sanders had set the culture so that when you watch that percolate into the rest of his thing, it gets 100 times more caustic, 100 times more toxic and terrible, to the point where somebody like Crystal Ball is brilliant, right? But to watch her get sucked into that same thing where that, trying to get out of that narrative, the narrative is so strong now, even though it's barely backed up by reality at all, that the second the dear leader, jumps on board to something a little bit more reasonable, they can't follow, or it's not as easy, right?
Painting yourself into a corner is what we would call that.
Right. That's exactly.
I will do everything I can to help elect Joe. We had a contentious campaign. We disagree on issues, but my job now is not only to rally my supporters, but to do everything I can to bring the party together to see that Trump is not elected president. That's Bernie Sanders saying what we need to do. I think what's happening is, I saw this post earlier. It was, you think you can make me vote for Joe Biden because I supported Bernie Sanders You know, well, how are you going to get me to like your next candidate? Blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, if Donald Trump wins a second term, I'm not sure there's ever going to be an election again. I'm not sure we're going to survive it as a nation. So this is not, you know, they're seeing this as a normal election. They're seeing this as normal election politics. That's the mistake I've seen Republicans make for the past 5 years.
Yeah.
It's the same mistake that, oh, well, this is just normal politics. They're just mad because he's not their guy. No, motherfuckers, he's a danger to our existence as a country and now as individuals in his handling of a pandemic. That's how grave this is. And I think I'm stunned that people don't share that feeling of gravity with me. Like that, I don't understand how you can look away from this and think, you know, it's just politics. And I'm watching Eric Soinen do it this morning on his feed. Oh, you know, if you focus on the good stuff, really, dude, your house is on fire, but your car is okay. You know what?
He's got some tulips and stuff, reasons.
And I love Eric for his optimism, but optimism is great when shit is not on fire, you know. But when shit is on fire, you need to like stop thinking about your emotional state and start thinking about putting out the fucking fire. And that's where we are. And I'm disappointed that more people aren't seeing that.
Yeah, meanwhile, Jenny said, I've yet to have one never Biden be able to explain how not voting for Biden isn't a vote for Trump. And that's really the thing. Like I'm seeing a lot, and I see this all over the place in the United States, which is really weird. Well, they haven't earned my vote. Like, okay, you don't understand what's happening. There are two possibilities. There is a dichotomy. And if you don't choose for one, you are mathematically making the other one more likely. The rest is not relevant. How you feel about it isn't relevant. You're like principled, I can deserve to vote or not, doesn't fucking matter. There is a result that will be statistically affected by your action or inaction. That's the whole story. There's nothing else. Everything else is garbage.
Yeah, that was a rage sigh.
Yeah.
And I, you know, one of the things, an elephant in the room that we haven't talked about on the show is the Tara Reid allegation against Joe Biden. Yep. You know, I've been consistent in my view that Me Too is an important thing, that our job in a moment like this is to believe the victim when they speak. And that's why this is such a difficult and complex story to opine on.
Mm-hmm.
If it was anybody other than Joe Biden, would I be glancing away from it? Nope. I'd be digging in with salad tongs like we did on Kavanaugh, like we have on Trump, like we have on others. So I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what
my first take on it was to ask Casey Marian. And she sent me everything that I needed to know. I'm absolutely all for talking about it, which is actually all that AOC said. We should absolutely be able to talk about it and lay out all of the information. And it was funny. I was listening to Chris Hayes yesterday. Highly recommend the Why Is This Happening episode from yesterday. He had a viral scientist, kind of mathematician though too. It's super interesting dude. But he basically was talking about the fact that you know, bullshit is an order of magnitude or two harder to clean up than the truth. And like that's, you know, the damage on that is already done. Everybody who doesn't like Biden is already calling him a rapist, and they will never change.
Right.
So that's the criticism of the Me Too movement, such that it has any legs at all. It's just that anyone can do that now, and it does lasting damage. You know, the problem is that a huge, I would say probably a vast majority of the time, there's good reason for it, right? Like that. So like, you know, the striking the balance that you need to, you know, mitigate this to protect men. I'm not really interested in that. Like it's possible that it's going to cause some damage to innocent people, but at the same time, like okay, cool. Let's get through it. Right. Like, you know, women have been getting fucked over for, I don't know, 6,000-7,000 years. So like, we'll be all right.
Yeah. My husband, Boxer Cat, my husband asked me what my thoughts were, and I told him, and he said he felt better. I'm curious, Boxer, what's
Yeah. Never
what that
mind what two
explanation
dudes
was.
think about it. What do you think about it?
Because what I need as a man right now is I need to feel better. that's the most important consideration, is whether I, a man, feel better. So please help.
Can I, as another man, second that, please?
Oh boy, yeah. Deb says Stacey Abrams VP pick. Fingers crossed. Yeah, me too. That would be, I think, the best possible selection to be made here. Although, when you consider, a VP pick, a lot of times they are picked because they're going to bring voters in that wouldn't, maybe in states that maybe wouldn't go for the candidate. And I think, well, but they, I think Georgia's in the bag for Joe Biden among Democratic Party voters.
Well, I
don't think Stacey Abrams brings him any new voters.
Oh, I think her capacity to organize in Georgia alone changes that potential narrative. And that's the thing, like, the people bringing their home states hasn't really been an effective strategy for 25 years. So, like, I know that's a thing that people have been thinking about for a long time.
No, but if you think regionally.
But the majority of the time it hasn't been working. Right. So it's an interesting argument, but the last few times that they've tried it, it didn't work. But it is still interesting. And I think I would still make that argument as it pertains to Stacey Abrams, not only because she could actually organize people on the ground and a lot of the right people would be inspired to work 100,000 times harder in Georgia, but she's having her do organization like that everywhere else would be amazing. Right. I mean, honestly, just even make her, the campaign manager, the outreach manager, something. One criticism I've heard against Stacey Abrams that is, I don't necessarily agree with it, because I know her, I think probably more than I think we all know her more than the average sort of voter does. The sort of executive experience kind of thing. She's been a legislator. She's been a state legislator. She was, almost governor. Doesn't really count necessarily as far as like the big gestalt picture. Like, do I think she'd be an amazing president? I don't think it. I kind of know it, right? Like, everybody who has some experience with her understands that. But I could sort of see where that would be an opening for a narrative on the other side.
So she had a lack of executive experience, like Barack Obama, for instance.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. Yep. Okay. I didn't say I agreed with it. I said it was a rational argument.
Yeah. Or she doesn't have executive experience like Donald J. Trump, for instance.
They would say he has executive experience.
Yeah. And look at what it's doing for us. Look at what it's doing for us.
Again, I am not saying I agree with it.
I've always thought that we got to run our country like a business thing is, it's a specious, stupid argument. Yeah. We don't.
We tested it. It failed.
Yeah, it's never been a good idea. Now we know. Now we know it's not a good idea. Oh my God, we need to stop everything and help Ginny. Ginny's having an emergency.
What?
She just ground the last of her coffee.
Oh fuck.
Oh, Donna's putting her shoes on right now. Where are you? She's going to bring you some coffee. It's Folgers Black Silk, but we have coffee.
So in the help two dudes feel better about their position this morning department, Casey said believe women means to take accusations seriously versus automatically dismissing them, not to believe every accusation without careful consideration. Thank you very much for that. Boxer, I love good men. Here goes. I find her story peculiar because I cannot understand why any Democrat would be gushing about Putin. So that smells. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what Casey sent to me a couple of weeks ago when this came up. Look, given that there will never be a perfect candidate in the real world, you will always be voting for the lesser evil. I mean, that just seems entirely true. Boxer said also she has tweeted, "My old boss is right about this. Listen to Joe." Casey Marion, Barack Obama's lack of experience was behind how slowly he came up to speed once in office. Okay, I'm cool with that. I mean, Trump never got up to speed,
surrounded himself with extraordinarily effective advisors.
Except they could have fought for the public option anyway.
but they'll explain to you why they didn't. Like they can rationally explain, why things went the way they did.
Yes.
So,
Dreen, okay, I want to read Dreen's comment, and I have this is like the thing that is bringing me the most hope. So did you all see the shirt that Biden's campaign put out? Joe and Beto and Amy and Pete and Mike and Kamala and me beat Trump. what Biden's and whether it's coming from Biden himself or from Biden's team, it is absolutely brilliant.
Yep.
They are doing whatever it takes to bring everybody into the fold as a team, right? So like, is he the sharpest nail in the drawer all the time? Probably not. But here's one thing that Biden is doing exceptionally well. He's leading all of the assets in the Democratic Party that we have, making them feel included, actually including them, right? Like the whole Bernie Sanders thing that they're doing, like they've got 6 different working groups on 6 different policy silos, and they're doing that seriously. I don't think I could really ask for anything else, right? Because it means he's moderating his positions towards progressive positions a little bit, but they're putting working groups together on policy to do even more than that, right? I think as far as knitting the whole thing together, I mean, Biden's killing it. Like, he really is. Like that's to the extent to which I was yelling at everyone that he's completely and totally not a thing and he's ridiculous. Then he came, and smashed South Carolina. Well, here's the thing: he's fucking winning.
Yep.
Right. He's winning. He's doing it, and that's the kind of crow I love to eat, quite frankly.
And Elizabeth Warren is going to endorse today, and I'm 100% sure that her statement of support for Joe Biden and what she's going to do to help is going to be every bit as sincere and meaningful as Bernie's is. And, and I think maybe Elizabeth Warren supporters are about 3 weeks out in front of where Bernie supporters find themselves right now, which is devastated that the person that many of us, and I am an Elizabeth Warren supporter, considered to have been the best possible candidate for the presidency in this race, didn't get there. That's been true in the past, and it's true again this time. And this is so important that we can't just allow a minority of folks to tell us that they're going to stay home. That's not acceptable. It just isn't. This is too important for that. Can't do it. Yeah.
So yeah, and for the record, I didn't look at the specifics of the accusation, but Boxer said she also said she was not wearing hose when the event in the hallway occurred. I worked in 1993. I had to wear pantyhose even if I was on a ladder. Yikes. Even if I was holding doors as a person with a gunshot wound to the head was brought in when it was 100 degrees and I was not important. I wasn't working on the Hill. I wasn't part of the campaign.
Casey Marion agrees. See, this is a perspective we can't have because I don't wear dresses and pantyhose very often. I have, but it was a one-time thing so far.
Yeah, can confirm.
There's some people here who may not know about that. I made a challenge to raise money for Pasco County's first Pride event that I would ride in the Chasco Fiesta Parade in drag if I raised. I think the amount I set was $700, and I raised it in about an hour and a half because people really wanted to see me in drag. It's crazy bastards. So I did that. I rode in our town's big annual parade festival event in drag, and it was really good drag. They did a good job on me. I mean, I look just like my Aunt Vera. So. All right. Yep, Boxer Cat. Remember when Project Veritas tried to slur Mueller?
Yeah.
Is Project Veritas involved in this story? Is that? Do I understand?
Oh, I mean, if I haven't seen that connection, but that would be like an immediate shot to the face if they even were anywhere near it.
You know what? I do have photos, Sue, and if Corey wants to vamp for a minute, I'm proud enough of them to bring one up.
I can vamp.
Let's see. Yeah, it's actually a picture of me and Brandy Goyette on the float.
Nice.
Let me dig this up here. Photos of Greg. Yeah, that's where they would be. You know, when I go through that section of my Facebook page, I'm so proud of all the people that show up in my photos. There's some amazing human beings that show up in photos with me.
It's true.
I spend a lot of time being around people that are doing amazing things.
Is that what we're doing, Dave? Discrediting Biden's accuser while simultaneously believing every one of Trump's accusations? That's super dangerous territory. This is the thing. Is that what I just did? You know what I mean? Like that. If there is reason to discredit it, then we shouldn't we? Like that. I don't know. Because like I get it. We want to be, you know, on top of this stuff, and we want to be fair all the way across the board. Because sadly, our side will do that, and theirs won't. But yeah, I mean, like I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm absolutely for it being completely and totally litigated. I'm absolutely for all the information coming out. If there is information that is discrediting, we should report that and talk about that too. Otherwise, on the other side of that, it's just an assumption of guilt no matter what. And I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't even do that with Trump.
All right, you ready for this?
Go ahead.
There it is.
I mean, I kind of feel like you could go on one of those drag shows and not be the first one to get caught or like sent out.
It was the shoes that killed me. I'm glad the shoes are not in the picture because that lasted maybe 20 minutes. I was like, nope, can't do it. Hurts. I don't know how ladies do that, but
yeah. Dave just asked me why I'm so defensive. Honestly, because I'm worried about it. Like I don't want to fuck this up. And you know, I had to, you know, respond to a dozen people yesterday saying that I'm basically shilling for a rapist. So yeah, I'm a little defensive about
it. Yeah. Here's the other picture where you can see that I had switched into sneakers by the time we got halfway through the parade. Because, yeah.
Yikes.
I can't believe I ran for mayor in my town and this picture didn't surface as a reason not to elect me.
I mean, I think it should have surfaced as a reason to elect you.
Well, they did say all I wanted was glitter parades and a giant homeless shelter in our town.
Can confirm.
Try and make a weapon out of that, but
yeah,
that's me in drag 2 years ago at Chesco Fiesta. A boxer cat. I'm going to say one more thing about this topic, then I will shut up. A similar thing happened to me at work when I was 17. A doctor grabbed me forcefully and forced his tongue down my throat in the ER in front of people. After that, I never said a kind word about that doctor, and I warned people. I sure would have told people to listen to him because he was right.
Wait, wouldn't have.
I sure wouldn't have told people to listen to him because he was right. There you go. Oh, well, thank you. I was gorgeous. Yeah, that one day. It took them 4 hours to make me look that good. Let's just start with that. That was fun stuff. And I would totally do it again if Pride needed me to try and raise money again. So Nina Borders, if we're going to do the thing late this year or next year, let me know. Okay. So what else is new?
The tripling down on printing money to throw at the markets is working in the short term. And what that's going to mean is when the financial realities of this situation actually start to factor in, it'll just make it worse. That said, it's down 700 already today.
Meanwhile, our president is halting funding for the World Health Organization.
Yeah, I mean, did you see the mutiny tweet? Like, that's terrible, right? Like, just to add it to the fucking list. Like the mutiny thing, because there's governors that are again not getting any help from the federal government basically at all, right? And even in situations where, you know, they're actually actively hurting state's capacity to deal with this crisis in real time. So they're creating these regional groups, right? Like I think New Jersey, New York, and something else. They created a little collective. The West Coast states created a little organizer group, that kind of thing, right? And so apparently that means that governors are mutinying, and it's okay. He could deal with that easy.
Oh, because he has unlimited authority. The president has unlimited authority.
It's the thing, like 100 years from now, they might look at this, say, like, do you see all these lines where the new sub-states are? Well, this is when it started.
Yeah. Deborah says, one of the funniest things I've ever watched was Corey and Greg trying on their new stretchy, very loud yoga pants. I watch that video once in a while and it still cracks me up. It still cracks me up. I kind of want to show it again.
It was pretty funny.
It was good stuff.
I kind of want to walk around them.
I was being mean to you that day too. I was like, yeah, that was some fun. That was some serious fun. Okay.
Yeah, and ending the World Health Organization funding is, I mean, it's on brand, right? Got to find somebody to blame and then punish them. I would like for somebody who is not in the Trump organization to list out their failures if there are any, because I'm sure there are, right? They're an organization. They, the likelihood they did literally everything right now is, not high.
Well, they've been singularly more effective than Donald J. Trump in managing this crisis. So why wouldn't he cut off their funding? Because he can't have anybody appear to be more organized or better at something than he is. That's the thing we know about him.
That's true.
Yeah. I'm still in a good mood, though.
This is good. I like it.
Yeah. I always think that he won't surprise and shock me again. And then he opens his mouth and I'm dumbfounded. Fact. Yeah. Casey Marion. There you go. Let's make it easy. Vote blue.
Yeah.
That's
just do that.
Yeah. Yes.
I think this is the thing too, like the chattering class, which is us, that like think about this stuff all the time and read policy papers and like that. I've thought about this a couple of times since having Heidi on, and Heidi's like, no, just keep it super simple.
Right.
Like because the level of engagement of normals is so low that just keeping it consistent allows that to network in all of the minds and come around to having people justify that in whatever way they want to justify it with whatever information they want to have,
right
like that the overriding simplicity of a message like probably is huge. I mean, also like make America great again worked.
Yep.
Like, and it's pathetic. Right? Like open change worked.
Yeah, my favorite story this morning is that the stimulus checks are going to be delayed because his signature has to be on them. That all checks out. Like, that is absolutely not a surprise to me.
Yeah, that is anyone surprised by that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, Don is saying he literally believes that it is his money. Yeah, he believes that about a lot of things. Like the charity's money is his money that he distributed,
right.
That he spent on paintings of himself. All that is his money. He believes that he's very, very good at spending other people's money and trying to convince you that it's his money. That's his MO for his entire business career. He spent a lot of his dad's money to make himself look like a billionaire. And was happy to take credit when people called him a billionaire, even though he's not. And likely never was. Yeah.
Oh, shit. Dreen just said, wow, my husband just shouted from the other room that they mentioned our town on Matto last night about COVID nursing home outbreak here.
Yeah.
Matto was saying that COVID might be in almost every nursing home.
I think that's probably accurate.
Which is like, if that's accurate, like how does the death toll stay below hundreds of thousands ultimately?
Right. I have a local person that works in a large nursing home chain, and they were the first to lock down. They locked down before it was required, and they now have cases in some of their facilities.
Wow.
And it's going to run like wildfire through those facilities.
Yeah, it really will, because there's no,
there's no way to lock down like in the same way there is a hospital. There's no way to create a wing where you put everybody that's compromised or exposed.
And the airflow situation and making sure that there's hazmat level stuff.
Trying to keep people socialized and engaged.
Well, you can't. That's the thing. You can't, right?
Yeah.
Like you literally can't do it. And especially with like dementia patients stuff, it's just it's going to be a really unfair challenge. Did you see the death toll in New York got upgraded?
Yeah.
how many times in that economic group I was trying to explain to people that it's going to be an undercount. They're like, the whole idea that they're over counting COVID deaths is garbage because they're not testing, right? And people are dying in their homes, and we knew that already. Like, it was like 200 or 250 people a day more than normal were dying in their homes on average. We were tracking pneumonia deaths here in Florida that were, and Texas, I think, that were over baseline, because that's actually something we can check. It's a large number, but it's indicative that we're probably not getting this right.
Yeah.
Lo and behold,
and Donna makes the point about prisons and jails, like that are broadly being run by private companies now, who are not going to be motivated to be accurate or honest about their numbers.
Right.
Not only for some sort of political gain, but for internal safety. You know, if you know what you don't need is 900 inmates panicking about whether they're going to get sick after having been denied hand sanitizer and even basic hygiene items. And there's already been at least one cell block riot, and I have a feeling that we're going to see more of that in prisons and jails across the country.
That I agree with.
Yeah, and Boxer Cat makes a point that we have 78 nursing home care facility outbreaks, not cases, outbreaks. And it's probably multiple people per facility. Yeesh. Dave Myers, correct. Yeah. There's not even close to enough tests to even get an accurate number, like at all. The actual number will never be known. It's impossible at this point. I think you're right.
But that's, again, like, they keep talking about bringing this stuff back. That I'll find the link to I think it was like the Daily TED Talk or something like that podcast. It was like an hour long. The main guy was interviewing somebody about how we come back and how we get the economy running again. And they're basically saying, like, you have to, the best way to do it is to test literally everybody, literally every day. And we have the capacity to get up to that point where we're doing that. That's not an impossible thing for our industrial base to do.
How long will it take?
That's the thing. That would take too long. But interestingly, you can get statistically the same, like within the same order of magnitude, like not 100%, but like 80%. Right. If you do random testing, I think it was random testing to the tune of about 10 or 15 million a day, not 160 million a day. So you can actually get like pretty close with an order of magnitude less tests. Again, still we're 2 orders of magnitude away from that now, right? But it is an attainable thing. If we had actual leadership, we would be doing everything to test. And right now they're doing both things exactly wrong. They're testing less everywhere. Like, even Fred Krueger, who I love to death. He's freaking really, really smart. He's been looking at pivot points all around the world, and when the cases are trending down. And he said, okay, the US just hit their peak. They fucking did not. We have not hit our peak. Because if you go to the CDC, the day that supposedly we hit our peak is when tests stopped going up. Right? So what they did is they just stopped testing. The testing is ramping down. I keep trying to find, DeSantis keeps saying that he's ramping up testing in Florida. Really? Where are the tests?
Right.
How many more tests are we seeing? They're supposed to be in 3 major cities, which is great. But, it's got to be, everywhere, all the time, to the point where we can actually start doing contact tracing for any of the positives, and only quarantine, the people and the contacts from the last 2 weeks of any known cases. Otherwise, trying to open up the economy is just going to be a fucking mess.
Right. Yeah. There's a couple of things in the comments I want to address. Ginny, that was the scariest thing I read yesterday. The dead are being tested, and now the dead can pass it on. They had a pathologist who contracted COVID from a corpse.
Are you serious?
Yep, that happened.
Shit balls.
That's terrifying.
That's not ideal.
Dave Myers, the new MAGA speaking point of hospitals overinflating the COVID numbers is maddening. It's easily provably wrong, and it makes me punchy mad. Yeah, here's the thing. What they've done is they've conflated the hospital policy is we're going to treat everybody that comes in as if they're positive for COVID-19. That's a basic safety rule. That's, that means we're going to glove up for everybody. We're going to treat everybody like they're positive. That's not the same thing as overinflating the fucking number. That's how you keep more people from getting it.
At one point, the feds were saying they were going to treat all pneumonia cases as if they were COVID deaths in the numbers, but that's not actually happening.
Right. Yeah, Sue Gentry, my cousin got tested Wednesday, was told she'd have hers back in 2 to 5 days, which I thought was fairly quick. She had a response within 24 hours, and we just hope it wasn't a false negative. That's an issue. False negative tests are an issue globally, not just here. That's been true, everywhere that's had outbreaks. Yeah.
Dave. The dead pass it through a bite or scratch. They have to break the skin. They can be stopped by massive hard trauma though. Head trauma. Oops. Wait, wrong pandemic.
Yeah, I was afraid to sleep in the hospital because I was worried about waking up like Rick from The Walking Dead. Or the guy from 28 Days Later. Yeah.
Man,
Where'd everybody go? Where'd everybody go? Yeah, Ginny, where's the Walgreens and CVS parking lot testing that we were promised 30 days ago by the president and a whole bunch of corporate shitheads on the White House lawn? Remember that?
So yeah, the New York Times actually did. And I was wondering if we should. So they've done a couple things. They made a timeline, which I think is important for us to remind ourselves of, because it's what everybody else in the country is going to get wrong.
Right.
Because they're going to believe the happy talk. And yeah, the number of promises that haven't been kept, which of course is the vast majority, to the point of suggesting that if he's actually done anything he said he was going to do, I'd be amazed.
Oh, Jareen, that's maddening. We had 1 day of testing and at Tripp County Tech, 200 total tests now gone. We are not getting any more that I know of. And now city councilors are lobbying to keep golf courses and daycares open. You think that's bad? Our governor yesterday declared that the World Wrestling Federation is an essential business.
Did you see what happened the next day?
No.
Vince McMahon donated $18.5 million to the Florida Super PAC for Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's great. That's how this should work. Ugh. Wow. WWE is essential in Florida. Yeah. Here's what I think is going to happen. Governors individually are going to open things up. They're going to declare the emergency over, and we're going to open things back up, like beaches and restaurants. And then in November and December, we're going to see a second wave that is as bad or worse than the first. That's how this is going to go. So the enormous economic pressure of businesses shutting their doors forever is scaring people that make decisions on our behalf.
Should, right? Like those are scary things, but the way to do it, like if you listen, I listened to a little bit of Gavin Newsom, who's basically, he's going straight scientist on this, right? And now granted, they got in front of it, so they're able to do this a little bit easier, but like there's a way to do this where you can marshal all the resources, get everybody on board, do it exactly right, and mitigate it to the responsible degree, and start opening things up, right? Like if you test positive, you get to go to work today, and if you don't, then you have to quarantine and sort of your contacts. That's how you break this down.
But we won't do that.
No, that's the thing. Like, well, some states will. At some point, like when do you start closing your borders off from Florida?
Right. Yeah, but the states that surround us, Georgia won't do that.
Yeah,
Alabama won't do that. Mississippi won't do that.
What if they start, because they've got stuff going into and out of California, between California and Arizona, and they're usually immigration checks, which is super annoying. Right. Because all I ever had to do as an illegal immigrant was say I'm an American and I'm white, so they let me through. I mean, yay for me. But
had that same experience as a white guy living in Canada, as a matter of fact.
Right? There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sue said, are they testing the dead? Shouldn't those tests go to the living first? Shouldn't we just assume that dead are contagious? So I think it's important for them to have done that, because there's people that are dealing with the dead now that are now contaminated. So you needed to know that. You also need to know the more we can get accurate numbers of the people that are actually dying, the more they can plan how many ventilators they're going to need to have and where.
And contact line. We need to know the contact line of the people that died.
Right. So I think it's a good thing that they did it, just to start getting a good gauge on the numbers. But obviously, yes. I mean, like ramping up testing for people that are alive is huge.
Ginny's being a gamer nerd. She says, I will not play the alpha release. Even the beta release makes me hesitant. That's right. I'm waiting for the stable release version of Summer 2.0. That's I've never been an early adapter in the internet world. Let it stabilize, then I'll jump in. That's
right. That's smart. That's smart.
Yeah.
That's sort of like, I think that's kind of like the health plan / kick that we're getting on, or whatever. It's probably going to take 60 days at least to kind of hit the halfway mark, maybe 90, but that's probably when we might start being able to go outside again,
My prediction is the governor's going to open Florida by June 1st.
Well, I don't know that Miami will. Right? Like Miami was ahead of the curve.
Right. But again, do you think Miami's capable of road blocking everybody coming into and out of Dade County? Because I kind of don't.
Yeah, no, they're not at all. And they won't do it. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Do they keep the airport closed? It's an international airport.
Yeah, probably not. That's the thing. Like this is the thing. I feel like this is the act. I feel like this is the first inning. Like this is 1 of 9.
Yeah, I think I would say we're in the 3rd inning. Is what I see 2 or 3 big waves of infection here. And maybe if we spread them out over time, less people die. That's good. But if we stopped it all right now, we would not have a big second wave, but I just don't think that we have the national will to do that. I certainly, like you were talking earlier about the phone app, this idea that there's a phone app that has your status on it, whether you're positive or negative on it.
And warns you anytime you're close to somebody.
I see great potential for abuse of that app by the NSA. I really do. And I'm trying not to be paranoid about it. What happens with that later? We only have a standing army because of the Civil War.
Here's the thing. Like I get that that's an issue. But like that ship, the whole oil tanker ship sailed the second Facebook started. Like worrying about that when it might save 2 million lives, to me, it's not even a thing. Right? Like it's like you make that decision, you make that call. And the way to deal with that on the back end of that is you make all the information public on a blockchain.
Right.
Right. Not identity, but the levels, who's accessing that information. That's the thing. Like I'm all for like ramping surveillance up to 10 from its current 9.6, but have it public. You know what I mean? Like have it transparent. So instead of just trying to say, hey, nobody can watch anybody, which isn't going to ever happen, you also layer it so that you have almost as much capacity to watch the watchers as they're watching you. If I had a magic wand, which I do not.
First time this ever happened to me, I had a conversation in my living room the other night about what if it all goes wrong and there has to be a revolution, and people have to make decisions about arming themselves. And I was really uncomfortable having that conversation in my living room with Alexa and my computer running.
What's that?
Even in an academic conversation about what I would do in that situation was uncomfortable to have in a room full of electronic devices.
Welcome to 2020.
Yep.
Maybe we should get better at voting.
Yeah. Maybe we should get some books on tradecraft.
No. Like you might as well buy a revolver and hope to fight a tank. It's just not a thing. I've had this car because I started mentioning it to a few people online. Like my whole like, hey, would you chip yourself? Because I keep seeing people like terrified of being chipped and stuff. And instead of saying that it would be mandatory, because I don't think it ever would be necessarily. Would you do it for $1,000 a month UBI? Right. And all of the usual suspects who are like AK-47 wielding assholes posting on Facebook said, absolutely not. You're fucking crazy. There's no way I would ever do that. I'm like, cool. Well, the amount of information that would be on that chip would probably be far less than the information that is being gathered and used against you by corporations right now from the thing that you answered me on.
Right.
Right. Like my, and I have yet to see anything to dissuade me from this notion. Everyone who says that they wouldn't do it, when the time comes, they absolutely will do it, with like a probably 2 to 5% failure rate on that theory, because we're used to it, right? And quite frankly, they're not using it against us in a super draconian way right now. Which, again, I'm not to say that they won't later; they totally might.
Right.
Which is why I would love to sort of create the back end. It's like the when we were talking to I was talking to a couple of people about the getting money out of politics thing, right? and how the coolest hack that I've seen for that is actually democracy dollars, which is instead of trying to get rid of Citizens United and stop money in politics, we just add way more, right? We just like hack it so that you're spending, corporations are spending $4 to $5 billion a year on it. Cool. We're going to mandate ourselves that we spend $25 billion on it a year from direct payments from actual human beings.
Right.
$100 an election cycle per person or whatever, right? Which I feel like is an analogous response to how we deal with the surveillance thing. You're never going to stop it. That's literally not possible. And there will be these collaborative events where having this kind of app is going to save 1 million lives. Do you do it or don't you do it? The ethical question there is not hard to do. You do it. But on the back end of it, you figure out, okay, well, how could this be abused? And how can we as a population mandate that we have checks and balances on that to mitigate that power? Because I think that's a solvable thing, right? Now, whether we get those things or not is a different story, but that, I think is a much more likely thing than suddenly mandating that we just don't have the surveillance.
Judy says she recommends the primitive technology YouTube channel. Okay. Well, there's some irony there.
Right. There was this one dude that put out on a CD, but it also came in like a 5,000 page book. It was his PhD thesis was how to start civilization from scratch, which I thought was really awesome. Like from mining and smelting, and these are the key technologies that you're going to need. This is what like eventually you're going to need a tractor. This is how to build everything to build a tractor, which I thought was really cool.
That is neat. But we've left enough, in a post-apocalyptic world, we've left enough working machines around that all you need is somebody to know how to repair them and turn them on, keep them running. So, yeah, skills we can't afford to lose. Lori says our town is repaving the streets while businesses are closed. That's brilliant. You know what? I've seen that in Newport Richie too. Newport Richie's gone on a big street and road improvement binge right now while traffic. That's a great idea.
They're doing it with I-4. That was the one thing when DeSantis was on at the in-laws place. I was like, yeah, we're gonna actually take this time to ramp up. We're gonna do all the work that we wanted to do on I-4 right now. And I'm like, that's this only thing you've said that's smart. That's points, I guess.
Yeah. Boxer Cat, y'all, I thought I was out of chai and found one more carton of concentrate in the back of the fridge. Oh, happy day.
Yes.
Reasons to remain positive in the time of COVID. There we go. All right, it's 11 o'clock.
Greg, can you talk about 5G and its effect on humans and other species? I mean, I can. It has none. Zero effect. Period. None at all. Now, okay, in that conversation with Chris Hayes, I'm telling you, go listen to the last Why Is This Happening podcast, because they brought that up, and I didn't know about this. Apparently, there was a sort of a counter. A bunch of scientists basically started a conspiracy theory that birds aren't real.
Yes, I know about this.
I didn't know about this at all.
Oh yeah,
so they're birds aren't real, and they're actually just government surveillance drones.
Right.
Which is really, really cool.
You're late to the party, pal.
Yeah, I'm totally new to this one. I thought that was really, really funny. So there was this other conspiracy theory that the birds were disappearing. I said, no, the birds aren't disappearing. They're just changing the batteries.
Yeah, they do periodic maintenance just like every other drone. Duh.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah. Sure.
So yeah, 5G is basically like taking the amount of information that's in your phone, and like the transmission, the radio waves we're surrounded with all the time, and compressing it. Right. So the frequency is going to be higher. The intensity is going to be a little bit higher, but not that much. Around the towers, the intensity is going to be quite a lot more. There's going to be a lot more information around those towers. But again, that's like standing next to an electrical transformer or standing next to a very high intensity radio transformer.
Right.
It's really not different from 4G. It's just more, right? Like it and the extent to which, because I looked into this before, like the whole idea that you hold your phone next to your head and talk.
Cause cancer. Yeah,
it can't. There was suggestions that it can cause cancer. I've seen as many studies that show that that's not a thing. But I mean, it's not unreasonable to think sticking your head next to radio waves is going to have some kind of effect or whatever, right? Like that's not irrational,
right?
But when you look at the science behind it, it's not coming above statistical noise. So I'm not worried about it, except for the fact that all of these things are going to be much, much better as far as, being able to see more of.
This harkens back to a real thing that happened in the late 80s or the early 90s. I think it was probably the mid to late 80s, where a number of police officers came down with testicular cancer, and I can't remember the gland set that's in your groinal area, that they were convinced was related to radar, using speed trap radar. And it actually turned out to be true, because what was happening was it takes some time for the handheld radar gun units that they point out the window at you to warm up. So officers were turning them on and putting them in their crotch, you know what I mean, while they were doing other things in the car, and they would pick the radar gun up and put it out the window. And they actually had a provable chain of cancer cases from having that radar unit sitting directly on your groin for extended periods of time. But that's a much more powerful signal than we're talking about with anything that's radio or television related.
Yes,
you have to be sitting on top of a transformer dish, a satellite or a radiation creating dish,
right,
for an extended period of time for it to have an effect on you.
And it's important to understand the proximity problem too. It's like the any kind of radiation is going to become weak as the square the distance, right? That's kind of how gravity works and how magnetism works, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But what that means in practice is that if you're 1 inch away, it's a very, very strong signal. If you're 1 foot away, it's a very weak signal. If you're 10 feet away, it's an almost imperceptible signal.
Right.
Right. So, and you're never going to get that close to a 5G tower. And again, it would be all like within 5 or 10% the same kind of issue if it was 3G or 4G or whatever. Right. So like this 5G thing is not new. Like, it's just something new that people don't really understand, that they can get have weird questions about. So,
wait a minute. Warren Ruddles wins this whole conversation, but Bob on Facebook says that 5G is bad. Well, I'm convinced.
Yeah, Lori, seriously, you got to stop worrying about this stuff. Towers are farther away. 5G will be on every block on schools. I want nothing to do with it. Listen, go outside your house right now and look at where all the cell towers are. They're already everywhere. Like, this ship sailed like 15 years ago. It is absolutely not going to be different than it is right now. They're just going to call it 5G, and your internet will be faster. So that it's not something that any reasonable person should be worried about.
And I think
it's not going to be different than it is now.
If I had Lori's concerns and I were looking for, a bright patch of daylight in a dark sky, I'd be thinking about the possibility that we could end up with superhero mutations. So,
Greg, don't. Oh,
what? It can happen.
People, it could happen.
I'm optimistic.
Oh, you're killing me. Yeah, Lori, I'd be willing to bet that you have cell phone towers that are close to you right now, and 5G towers will not be any closer. It's not something that you need to worry about.
If you're worried about 5G towers close to your house, you should be worried about your Wi-Fi, your Wi-Fi router.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or the cell phone sitting on your desk in front of you, or the Bluetooth, enabled laptop that you're maybe watching us on. These are all point sources for radiation. It's just that it's incredibly tiny amounts of low danger radiation. It's not.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think it's a. I honestly, I think if it was an issue that gave the people that created it concerns, some of them would have shared by now their concerns that they were releasing something dangerous into the public.
Well, and I think there's a lot of watchdogs that would study that kind of thing. Like, imagine like any PhD student out there who's a biology student would want to figure that out, right? Like, it's something that would come out very quickly.
Right.
Anyway, but yeah, by all means, turn it off. Worry about it if you want to. I'm just telling you, the science suggests that there is absolutely no reason for you to worry in any way, shape, or form.
The CDC and the WHO tell me to be careful and that COVID is a virus and to follow protocols, but people on Bay News 9 comment sections on Facebook say different. I'm so confused. I don't know who to believe. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, we made it all the way to 11:06. We did a whole hour when I was completely unprepared once again.
I mean, the mornings that we are, don't tell anyone this, the mornings that we are totally prepared are fewer than the mornings where we are not.
It's true.
But we get through it, and we get through it because, of you weirdos. Yeah, Lori, if you read otherwise from anywhere other than an accredited PhD scientific paper, then what you read doesn't matter. And I hate to say it that way, but it's just true, right? Where you get information is as important as the information you get. And these days, it's the whole reason why we talk about conspiracies all the time. People believe the dumbest shit. Like, people believe that COVID is caused by 5G. That's fucking stupid. It's just really, really stupid. But people believe it because they read it somewhere. So
that 5G was engineered to spread COVID. That's
you know what I heard? I heard that 5G that was spread to spread COVID is actually why the birds all kind of left, because then the birds could all come down and then they could get their batteries changed. And now the birds are back up to surveil people, because we all know that you have to surveil everyone that has COVID positive, because that way they can understand how to better use the weaponized 5G.
Yes.
Boom.
And
Sasquatch is real.
I mean, there is a line of speculation that Sasquatch was sent here by aliens to watch us, to observe us, and to report on human beings.
And the reason why you can't see them is because they're actually in a sub-quantum next door realm.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch that?
Did you ever watch that documentary that I sent you a link to on Hulu about the Skywalker Ranch? Did you end up ever watching that?
No, I did not.
You absolutely need to watch it. It's fascinating. There's a lot of spooky shit that goes on in that valley, and you should watch the documentary, because there are a lot of things in there that will make you go and I know that we're having a Sasquatch conversation, so this sounds suspect, but a lot of freaky shit goes on in that valley and on that particular piece of land, and it's definitely a documentary worth checking out. Okay. Things that are pretty difficult to explain.
I highly recommend everyone check out the Chris Hayes Why Is This Happening podcast, especially because they actually go over a lot of the ways that we should be discerning about information, which is clearly really, really important. Again, if somebody comes out with like a firm, hard study, this sounded really weird right now. This is the thing. I will flip my opinion about 5G if I see actual scientific studies that prove that I was wrong, and not before. And if I read a Breitbart article, I'm going to probably not be convinced, right? That's it. Just the it's called, epistemology. How we know the things that we know is as important or more important than anything that we think that we know. So I highly recommend that, and anything else you can do in that vein.
All right. So we're back on Friday. We're going to try and do a science thing. Oh, no, we have a guest. Did you tell me you thought maybe we had a guest coming on Friday?
Yeah. But I think, it's a moving forward candidate from New York.
Nice.
So,
nice.
Yeah. Be happy to. I definitely want to have him on. But at the same time, like, I think we should do a science show anyway.
Sure.
Because like these candidate interviews, I absolutely love having them. They can get a little bit repetitive sometimes, right, unless you have people on like Heidi, who I think can, there are some that are a lot more versatile than others. I've just never talked to this guy before, so yeah, no, I think we should go with our regular plan, but just have a guest.
Coolio.
Yeah.
All right. Deborah says she has to go anyway. It's time for Justin Trudeau's daily update. I've moistly been avoiding those. Sasquatch is real. We got to go. I love you guys. We'll see you Friday.